In the summer of 1825, during a time of spiritual unrest across America, three mysterious brothers arrived in the quiet town of Ravenwood. They were known as the Ravencroft brothers. Elder Ezra, the oldest, was a man of great presence. His dark eyes seemed to see right into your soul when he spoke. Deacon Silas, the middle brother, was quiet, scholarly, always scribbling down thoughts in worn leather notebooks. Prophet Caleb, the youngest, spoke in soft whispers that somehow echoed. His pale blue eyes often rolled back during what he called visions from the divine. Together, they purchased a large piece of land just outside town and began building something strange. Something they called the Church of the Pure Spirit. It wasn't like any other church. Built from dark stone, the building had no windows. Its sanctuary was octagonal, surrounded by 8 smaller rooms, with a tall steeple rising above everything like a watchtower. Inside, the only light came from carefully placed lanterns. At the church's first gathering, Elder Ezra stood before the crowd and declared, "We have been called by the Spirit to this place. In an age of false prophets and lukewarm faith, we bring the true message, purification through tribulation." People were curious, and curiosity brought crowds. By 1827, nearly 100 followers had joined them. Some sold everything to live near the church. Others remained in town but spent all their time at the compound. The brothers urged them to give up all worldly possessions. Earthly attachments, they said, hold the soul down. Those most devoted were invited to become vessels of the Spirit, a special status requiring them to endure rituals of purification. At first, these rituals were simple: fasting, long prayers, cold water baths. But over time, things changed. The brothers escalated the intensity, slowly and carefully. So slowly that the followers didn't notice they were being conditioned to accept more pain, more submission, more control. By 1829, construction began beneath the church. Underground chambers, rooms carved in silence and shadow, were prepared. And then came the winter solstice, December 21st, 1829, the longest night of the year. That night, 3 followers were chosen: Collins, Rebecca Winters, and Carver. They were led to the center of the sanctuary. They were stripped to their undergarments, despite the biting cold, tied to wooden frames shaped like inverted crosses. Elder Ezra told the congregation, "Inversion is not blasphemy. It is a symbol, from pride to humility, from comfort to suffering, from life to death to rebirth." What followed was a series of torments called the 7 trials of purification. Trial of air: wet cloths over their faces, water slowly poured, creating the sensation of drowning. Trial of earth: buried up to their necks in soil. Trial of fire: heated metal pressed to skin, leaving burned symbols. Trial of water: immersion in freezing water until unconscious, then revived. The last 3 trials were unspeakable. Even the witnesses wept, some fainted. Yet the Ravencroft brothers called it elevation.
Un sacré passage.
And when it ended, Prophet Caleb whispered, "Now we have shown them the true face of God." And they did not turn away. After that, death became sacrament. From 1830 to 1845, the Church of the Pure Spirit grew darker, stronger, hidden under a mask of faith. More chambers were built. More bodies disappeared. New members were shown only symbols. Later, they were allowed to see the outer rooms. But only the most faithful were brought deep below, to the Chamber of Saints, where the dead were displayed like saints in glass coffins, arranged as a congregation in eternal worship. Carver, one of the survivors, later confessed, "I remember crying the first time I was brought down. I thought it was holiness. Now I know it was horror." By 1835, elevation ceremonies were held every few months. By 1840, they were monthly. On solstices and equinoxes, they took even more. The Ravencrofts selected victims carefully: widows, orphans, drifters, people who wouldn't be missed. But later, even loyal families were not spared. Offering a child for elevation was called the highest honor. Parents competed, offering sons and daughters to the Spirit. The brothers remained in their roles: Ezra the voice, Silas the mind, Caleb the soul. But slowly, Caleb's visions began to dominate everything. Behind closed doors, his word became law. By the late 1840s, the church appeared thriving to outsiders. Dormitories, workshops, even a school. Visitors saw prayer, order, discipline, but not the midnight rituals, not the growing number of graves, not the wealth collected in silence. The Ravencrofts were growing rich through donations, the sale of bodies to medical colleges, and secret business ventures. Then, in 1847, something happened. A postal inspector named James Thornhill, investigating financial fraud in upstate New York, noticed something strange. Large cash deposits, payments labeled research donations to universities. He started asking questions that would eventually uncover the nightmare hiding in Ravenwood. But that reckoning was still years away. For now, the Church of the Pure Spirit continued its dark work, hidden under robes of holiness, fueled by blind faith, led by three brothers who called themselves chosen, but served something far more terrible: